Salabhasana is a great posture for strengthening the muscles of the back, giving us better standing posture and strengthening the muscles of the glutes. However, done incorrectly, it can also create low back pain, some stiffness in the neck and shoulders. So I'm going to give you a few modifications that you could try if full Salabhasana or locust pose is giving you some problems. All right, first things first, let's take a look at what the full posture is. When I say full, I just mean what most teachers are teaching to. This does not mean that you won't get all of the benefits of this pose, even if you practice a different version. So generally in locust pose, you're coming to your stomach. Your feet are pointing away from you, so the tops of the feet are on the floor, and your hands are back. Usually teachers will have you place the tops of your hands on the floor. We're going to change this in a moment, I'll tell you why. All right, but for the regular pose, you're going to lift up as much as you can. Sometimes they also have you lift your hands up and back as well. Right, and you lift, 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 lift. Okay? So, let's break it down. If you are having any issues in the upper body, we'll start to make some adjustments here first. Okay? First thing, instead of having the tops of the hands on the floor, you're actually going to put the palms of the hands on the floor. If you think about your posture when you're standing, we're always trying to help you open up the chest, especially around the collarbone, externally rotate the shoulders. So why would we want to do a practice where you're internally rotated and trying to open up? All right, so first things first, palms are on the floor. You want to visualize yourself almost in a type of mountain pose here. All right. The next thing that you're going to do is practice bringing the shoulders up first and squeezing them back, keeping the chin slightly tucked. You tend to like to lift up really heavy with the head. That's probably going to create some issues from the hyperextension of the neck. So instead, just be a little bit more gentle with the curve of the neck and guide yourself with your shoulders instead. Right? If this is still creating some issues for you, then I would suggest that you start with this practice. So your elbows are now going to be parallel with your shoulders. Palms are on the floor. And you're going to practice lifting just the hands off the floor and then just the elbows. So you're keeping the hands higher than the elbows. If you can't do that without starting to feel this muscle working, then this is where you need to spend a little bit of time. So you should be able to get to the point eventually where the hands are up, the elbows are up, but you still have some relaxation in the upper traps. That means that your lower and mid traps and your rhomboids are doing the work, which is what we want. Okay? So that would be one thing to work on, keeping the legs down the entire time. Once you start to feel like that's working, you can go back here, palms are still on the floor, and then start to work on lifting up, maybe even lifting the arms up. If your low back is hurting you, you either want to be a little bit more gentle with how much you lift the chest, or you want to start working on the legs a little bit more. Glutes, abs are going to be what protects your low back. So the first thing that you want to do is start to draw the hip bones in towards your midline. You're really focusing on core work here to keep the back stable. Right? So the hip bones draw in towards your midline, you're engaging the muscles of the core as you press the tops of the feet into the floor. The next thing that you'll work on is just bringing one leg up at a time, focusing on using your glutes. A lot of times we'll use the muscles of the back to help us lift, and instead we want to make sure that it's the muscles of the legs. So one leg at a time using the glutes. Once that starts to feel comfortable, you'll put it together. So imagine you have a block between the thighs that you're hugging, your abdominal muscles are working, your forehead can stay on the floor for this, and you're just going to practice lifting the legs together. If you feel any pinching in the low back, squeeze the legs a little bit more, squeeze the glutes a little bit more, squeeze the abs a little bit more, until you no longer feel this in the low back. Once you've got that, you can start to put it together. Engage the muscles of the abdomen, and squeeze the legs, push the feet away from you, and then from here, palms on the floor, start to lift the upper body and the legs together. Next option, lift the arms. Most of us are going to stay here at first. If this is still too much, but you want to practice lifting the legs, you have one more option. You can bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Don't push into the hands, but use them for a little bit of support. Pull the shoulders down and back, lift the legs a little bit higher maybe. Notice that I'm still not looking straight up. I'm keeping a little bit more length around the back of my neck. Go ahead and give some of those modifications a try. Let me know how it goes. Hopefully, you'll be enjoying this pose a lot more.